Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, the master of martial arts in some world somewhere, and also the host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. Today we're going to be talking about heroes. Well, books about heroes, two, and one magazine or fanzine. I don't know how you um, actually classify fanzines anymore. It's been kind of a controversy recently. Like, is Zenorama still a fanzine? Well, it's published by a giant corporation, but it's only written by 4 or 5 people at any given point in time. But I digress. Be that as it may, today we're going to review this book, The Ultimate Guide to the Martial Arts Movies of the 70s, the 1970s. It's pretty thorough, pretty darn thorough. And it's by Dr. Craig Reed. I think it says Craig D. Reed. Yes. Craig D. Reed, and it is chock full of pictures, which we'll get into in just a little bit here. However, before we get into all of that, please like, share, subscribe, vote in the poll, if there is one. There probably will be. And leave a comment. Also, if you're watching, wherever you're watching or listening, please listen for at least a couple minutes longer than you usually would. It really helps the algorithm. And the YouTube channel is really doing well. We're at 242 subscribers, trying to get to 250 and more. But 250 is going to be a milestone here.
Theirs was a mission of certain death. Outnumbered and unarmed, they must get to the tyrant that enslaves their people.
So, once again, I got this. This book was released in 2010 by Dr. Reed, who lives in San Diego. I would assume he's done stand-up comedy. He's been in martial arts movies in Hong Kong in the 80s, and has had a life-threatening illness that he used qigong, according to him. And this and is still alive. So kudos. This book has got over 500 plus films. He calls them martialologies. And he's got a unique way here of, let's see if we can get to that front page. Just repping there because it is Godzilla month. I mean, all months are Godzilla month, right? I hope you have gotten your big old bowl of hummus of perfection. Now I have got, that's just washing out altogether there. Sorry about that. Still new, brand new ringlight here, and I'm still working on getting how things are set up properly, and my apologies. So please bear with me. But here's his martialology guide. It goes through various, what's it say? Hong Kong, the years, the Chinese name, kanji, the running time, the fighting instructors, film's fight statistics, number of training, length of training, number of fight, length of fight, and then he gives a percentage. So I believe Chuck Norris's Good Guys Wear Black is like a 2% of fights of the entire movie. It's a movie I've never seen. It apparently doesn't really appeal to me that much anymore. Although I did write, when I was much younger, a treaty for Good Guys Wear Shorts, which was going to be a parody of it. I don't think I knew exactly what parody meant, but I was trying to have fun. And it was the 70s, so forgive me. This was published by Active Interest Media, Black Belt Books, O'Hara Publications, World Leaders in Martial Arts Publications. I don't have many books about martial arts because one of the guys who I've met and was very nice to me was not, back then. I hope he's gotten more informed now, but and he was very funny. But you'll know who he was not very well knowledgeable about some martial arts. I did ask him about the Shaw Brothers right around 2003, 2002, 2003, 2004, when he was at Comic-Con, what he thought of the Shaw, why there weren't any Shaw Brothers out. No, this would have been in 2000 probably, now that I think about it. Why there were no Shaw Brothers movies out. And he told me they'd all been destroyed, all the negatives and everything. And then, of course, the British were releasing. There was There were PAL releases of the Five Deadly Venoms, the Treasure Hunters, a lot of bunches of kung fu movies all dubbed in English. And he said, well, those of course were not destroyed because they were in England. And then all of a sudden, they open the vaults, and Celestial puts out these gorgeous DVDs and Blu-rays. I wasn't going to rub it in his face. He was just wrong. But he was just, and he was so, what do I want to say? Well, nice man. I personally, he talked about, who was in 98 or 90. Yeah. Well, it was after Godzilla in name only in 1998, the first Godzilla English useless version was out, and he hated it. He said he thought the writers said this is good enough for crap, and that's exactly what. And they were exactly right. It was crap. Seen that movie once, never see it again. So look, this movie is full of full color Shaw Brothers pictures. Uh, just anyone you can name from the 70s. It's got Inframan. It's got the Avenging Warriors of Shaolin, Shaolin Rescuers as it's known. It's got the one armed boxer. It's got Master of the Flying Guillotine. I don't always agree with everything he says about him because he likes some movies more than others. And at this point in time when this was written, Lau Kar Lung um, was the rage in his movies because they were kung fu movies. They weren't movies with kung fu in them. They were movies about kung fu. And some of them are better than others. I love the 36 Chamber, but My Young Auntie, the fights are good, but the movie's ridiculous. So anyway, Craig sounds like a great guy, and I would have loved to have talked to him about this and other things, just because we were in San Diego, but I never did manage to find him. It's a great book. I think it sold back then for it doesn't say here. It was $30 or so, but it's well worth it. I highly recommend it if you can still find it. I'm hoping it'd still be out. I was kind of hoping he'd do an 80s one, but that's when Choi Hawk was starting to do his thing and fantasy movies took off. But there were still a bunch of good movies. And wire work, of course, which is not my favorite. I like less wire work. I mean, some of it's needed, right?
No weapon, no matter how lethal, can match their kung fu. Alexander Fusheng stars as the young martial arts expert pitted against a murderous warlord with a deadly kung fu skill.
That is the U.S. trailer for The Four Assassins, aka Marco Polo. I can't recommend this enough. It's really good. It's a good resource, and that's our book review. We haven't done any of these book reviews recently. I can't figure out where this is coming from. This glare up here, and once again I apologize, and I will learn and get better. So appreciate you hanging with me, and we're going to go to our second book review, which is I'm going to be honest, it's by a friend of mine, so don't expect any kind of non-biased review but it's all about the style by Blake Matthews. This is the second edition, but the first it was published in 2013. You can buy this on Amazon. I'm assuming you can still get Dr. Craig's book on Amazon. Dr. Reed, his first name's Craig. So this is a fascinating book. I mean, it's really good. Blake's really done his research about the different actual styles because a lot of kung fu movies use a wide variety of made up martial arts and then throw in a lot of real martial arts in there. And he has done the unenviable task and of watching lots of these movies. And some are not good movies, but they have a great fight. Say for, what do we got here? Hapkido, Korean. Mao Ying, Angela Mao Ying. That's her style that she got her, one of her styles. She was really good, but it talks about Secret Rivals and Shadow at Cotton Mill. Encounter of the Spooky Kind gets, I think that's a monkey style, right? Yeah, monkey kung fu. Talks about Chow Gar, the mantis style that Lo Meng does, that we talked about in. He doesn't do it. Well, he might do some of it in Kid with a Golden Arm, but it's just a great book. And there's so many styles out there, and he gets down. He talks about the big three, Hungar, Wing Chun, and Choi Li Fut, which sadly does not have nearly enough movies. I mean, there's a lot of people doing Choi Li Fut, but there's not a lot of movies about the style. Yes, your humble art agent did do has. Won't say I mastered it because people know, but I did. I studied it for 10 years, and it's great. I just love doing it. Um, but all of the, I mean, he talks about the weapons. He goes into empty hand styles. He goes into hard styles and soft styles like Tai Chi and Qigong, and the movies, and gives you examples of movies if you want to watch them. So this is available on Amazon. Whatever price it is right now, Blake, you're not charging enough for it. So really appreciate it. Also, that guy that wrote the foreword managed to include the Master of the Flying Guillotine in it. Right there, you can't probably can't see that name, but he probably has done some other stuff too. However, just go by it. And speaking of Blake, he's also doing a yearly um, almanac here. This is available on Amazon. This is issue 1. Is the one I had, easiest one to find, from 1970. So now look, there's no, maybe it's the glossy cover that's just reflecting. Huh? How about that?
He lived to fight and fight to live in a whirlwind as the young martial arts expert pitted against a murderous warlord with a deadly kung fu skill.
Oops, that was me. Anyway, they're in full color. Let's see if I can get a picture of it here. Vengeance, and it goes from each year. He does reviews movies from each year from all over the globe. Blind Swordsman, Jimmy Wang Yu, and I'm using a lot here. Wuxia Part 1, a brief overview. Zatoichi's in here. Satoichi. Wang Fei Hung, bravely crushing the fire formation. Boy, I really need to reread this because it's been a minute. He's up to issue, I want to say year 76 is out with 77, which will have a review of The Battle Wizard by a certain agent, humble agent. I did the review of the Chinese boxer in here. Crimson, is that? Yeah. Yes, the Chinese boxer. I guess he must be tired of living, just to quote. But there's that.
They live to fight and fight to live in a whirlwind of kung fu action. 4 men sworn to battle to the death against these lawless legions of the damned.
It's really funny that they named them this. The movie is named The Four Assassins when that they're talking about the good guys in it.
The Four Assassins.
We'll throw the trailer in there at the end of the review here, which we are at. So I do say look for these on Amazon. These two, I think Blake could probably even. I don't know if he. I'd read another book similar to this. I mean, it's such a unique idea. I don't know that anyone else has ever done one where you go through and find actual examples of the true martial arts being practiced. Now, remember, of course, movies, cinematic martial arts are way different than actual martial arts fights. I mean, most fights in real life are 2 punches at top best, or as people used to say, me hitting you, you hitting the ground. 2 hits, me hitting you, you hitting the ground. But it's so that would be really. I mean, there are people that want realistic martial arts fights, and I'm like, no, you don't. Those are boring. I mean, to start out with, it's like the heel who just can punch out any random journeyman who's not quite to the level of mid card or something. If you want to use a pro wrestling analogy. And I do kind of wish I'd have used Kung Fu Fighting in here, but I'm still wary of copyright. So, my fellow agents, just remember, as Wang Fei Hung would say, the virtuous man is invincible. So, until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off.
Theirs was a mission of certain death. Outnumbered and unarmed, they must get to the tyrant that enslaves their people. No weapon, no matter how lethal, can match their kung fu. Alexander Fusheng stars as the young martial arts expert pitted against a murderous warlord with a deadly kung fu skill. They live to fight and fight to live in a whirlwind of kung fu action. 4 men sworn to battle to the death against these lawless legions of the damned. The 4 assassins.